One of Russia's richest men is going on the defensive. Russian billionaire Oleg Deripaska is suing the U.S. government, demanding that it lift sanctions against him. Deripaska sat down for a rare, exclusive interview with our very own Geoff Cutmore over the weekend. Geoff joins us live from Moscow with more on this big interview. Geoff, good morning.
Good morning, Becky. Well, it's been over 2 years since Oleg Deripaska spoke publicly about anything, but we sat down with him because he's decided that enough is enough on this sanctions list. He claims that the sanctions imposed back in April of 2018 have led to at least $7.5 billion of material loss for him. That as a result of being forced to lower his ownership of two companies that he founded, Rusal and EN+. Let's have a listen to why he says the sanctions need to go.
I hope that sooner or later people will recognize it's wrong, will try to assess the facts, and actually it's getting worse and worse. And last hearing in Congress, when people start blaming me personally for any sort of things which I had no connection even with, not just based on fact, just for anything. And of course it's given me total understanding that legal system in the US maybe is the last resort where people could assess the facts and to see what justice would be.
Well, Oleg Deripaska accuses Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin and the Treasury Department of weaponizing the US financial system. He says he wants justice, which is why he's launching this lawsuit. And he pointed out that he's become something of a business pariah by being put on this list. Even here in Moscow, the government and the central bank are unwilling to deal with him for fear of being exposed to secondary sanctions from the US government. Back to you.
Hey, Geoff, you are somebody who I've never seen back down from a tough question. I watched you interview Vladimir Putin a few years ago, and I remember Putin even saying at the time, what is with this guy? What's he doing, pushing me on all these issues? What's your take on having seen all of this? What's your own judgment on what you think's happening here?
Well, of course, the Treasury Department put him on this list because they say he's part of a group who are close to President Putin, who've been involved in, quote, malign activity. I think anybody can go back and look at the records as to his business activities, how he became as rich as he is, and of course his involvement in the commodity markets. The outstanding questions that still remain, I think, for a lot of people, though, Becky, are, was he involved in some way with Paul Manafort in the alleged interference in the 2016 US presidential elections? And I asked him point blank, do you think Paul Manafort was working for a Russian intelligence agency or the GRU? Do you think that others who've been cited in the Mueller investigation were involved? He himself is someone who's become part of the scrutiny under Robert Mueller, but hasn't been accused of anything at this stage. He categorically said, I do not think that they have been working, either of these individuals, for Russian intelligence or for the GRU, and he says no evidence to show that. But I think we'll just have to wait and see what Mueller comes up with and whether Oleg Deripaska's name turns up on any of the subsequent documentation. But for the time being, Becky, he's saying he's not involved and it's time for the sanctions to finish.